Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Heart to Heart podcast. This week, I'm having a lovely discussion with my friend Julia Kukkonen, who is a wonderful multimedia artist, performance, and visual artist from Finland. And I'm doing just a little announcement before the video begins. Unfortunately, Zoom didn't record my face, so you will mainly see Julia's face. But I suppose you all just launch the video and just listen to it, so it doesn't matter anyway. So that's it. I hope you enjoy the discussion and have a wonderful experience. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Heart to Heart podcast. My name is Alex. I am a sound artist, also known as Wild Anima, and founder of the growing eco project, The Heart Medicine. This is a space where I invite inspiring individuals to discuss topics on ecology, sustainable healing, and the art practice as an expression of our authenticity. So today I am very happy and delighted to welcome Julia, my dear friend and collaborator, who joins us all the way from the wisdom lands of Lapland. And that's it. So how are you, Julia?
That's a really good question. I'm happy to be here again with you. It's always so lovely. Maybe I was just mentioning that I think springtime is always a bit difficult, especially up in here in the north where the light changes so dramatically, and also the nature, like everything happens so quickly all of a sudden after a long dark period of winter. So I somehow feel that that's so revealing in a way inside as well.
Yes.
So that someone really shines light inside of me as well at the same time, and sometimes there is something that I maybe don't want to see right now.
Interesting. Yes. Oh, where are we starting from here? Lots of things to develop. So the initial idea for our talk was celebrating our Earth. As this month we were celebrating the Earth Day, and I took this inspiration from the lovely newsletter of the HeartMath Institute. I really recommend everyone to have a look at their website and what they do. I will link the link in the description. And just before we started our discussion, Julia asked me how I was doing. And that's how we came to talk about spring, which I think would be a lovely connection to dive into the many ways we can celebrate our Earth. And of course, there are the traditional ways, the ancient rituals that have transformed and are still part of our times. But I would really love to share this discussion with you, Julia, because I think we both also have different approaches to this form of spirituality, in integrating it in our little moments of everyday life, and how we embody, but how we live this celebration, what it means for us. I think for me it was really interesting always to see how we mirror ourselves on that topic. And so, as I said, Julia asked me how I was doing, and I was sharing that I'm going through really deep anxiety moments, but that feel like right now, but that feel very internal. And that's how you came with spring and saying that, yes, spring, it can be a kind of, I guess, a season of conflict a little bit. It is a season of a lot of happiness. Everyone's coming out, the nature is blooming, but and it is a celebration of Earth. It is a celebration. Maybe that's why they chose the Earth Day in this season. And yeah, I would be really, I kind of stopped you before we started recording because I was like, let's keep it for the podcast. So I would love to hear what, yeah, if you can reconnect with that. If not, don't worry. But if you can reconnect with what you wanted to share with me just before we started recording.
Well, I think that was already there, but another thing came to my mind that has been popping up a lot lately related to this. It's well, there has been a critique going on, or an ongoing discussion about the this kind of new age thinking, and this relates to the spirituality that we have been talking about a lot as well. Like that there has been this misconception going around for a long time that there are only happy feelings that are allowed, or this kind of like only positive side, and the light side exists of anything. And somehow I find it so important to emphasize that all the darkness, all the I don't know, negative experiences are equally part of this life. They are not separate from each other. They go hand in hand. They're just like, I'm trying to find a good way to describe it visually, but like I see them as a complete thing. That maybe, like, we can think about the ball, for example, that one side is white and one side is black, and they're just intertwined, they're connected. And so yeah, that was something that came to my mind. And also, like, yeah, how we embrace also those more difficult times and feelings that we have. And yeah, and in the springtime, those are so present, both of them. And then it might be quite difficult if you are supposed to feel just the positive ones, or if you're supposed to be happy and excited about the light and the summer coming. Whereas you might actually feel those opposite emotions as well.
I really, really deeply resonate with what you're saying, and I'm really going through this as well. Actually, I wrote only like 3 little guiding topics for the discussion that were just like emerging for me these past days, preparing the podcast. And the third one was accepting the lower self. This has been quite a big thing for me. Exactly how you say. I feel like at the moment it's like something I don't control. I find myself in certain situations where I don't recognize how I react. Is this really me? And of course it's me. And had a moment, a situation where it really wasn't my space. I had to communicate with certain people, like corporate people, and I found myself shaking and everything. And I felt so shit afterwards. Like I've never felt like in a really long time, you know. But once I let the feeling go through, I was just like patting myself, you know, like, oh, sorry, someone is like, it always happens to me. There's a window here and there's like people just like, all right, where do I start again? I was just like, I love you, lower self, you know, that's okay. I love you. I was even laughing at it. I don't know how to explain this, but yeah. Yes, I know what you mean. I feel like yeah, I also see it around me. I can feel it's not just an individual experience, and that almost it's part of the alchemy of flowers and the greenery blooming. It's like this conflictive burst, because I also feel like I have all these flowers, emotional flowers, or like just consciousness inside me also bursting. The beautiful things are happening while, yeah, a lot of turmoil also happens. But I can see how, and that is also something I experience at the moment, how this is actually really celebrating a part of being Earth, part of like really being Earth. I'm a flower. I'm a tree. I am an animal. I am a cloud, and I go through all these transformations.
Mm-hmm.
And those are painful moments, but they are also really, how do you call this? Like when you come to that, they're like catalyst for like new moments.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like this systems thinking approach to nature. It was a quote that I read. I can't remember who's it by, but it's quite common to say that, for example, a bear is only like couple of percentages of fur and claw, and maybe like 90% of salmon streams and pine forests and fresh water, that we do belong here. We are part of the earth as well as humans. We can find the percentages for ourselves as well. We are maybe like 30% of soil. Maybe we are 20% of fresh water springs from the mountains.
Oh, this is so nice. I mean, of course, that is really, I think that is come to, I don't know, I want to say the mainstream, but more like it's come a lot to the light that we are Earth. Like, I think we all talk about this now. It's like, somehow there is not the connection, and now you say this, it's like I feel it. I feel the streams. I feel the soil.
Yeah, this was a big thing because I also dance bhuta sometimes, and there are a lot of in this like field bhuta practice. There is a lot of these kind of how to say it, these images that you're dancing with, and sometimes the catalyst or an image would be a dance of a flower or a dance of your favorite flower. And then how do you do that? And at some point I just realized that I'm not supposed to pretend to be a flower. I'm not supposed to kind of like mimic an animal, but I'm supposed to find that part of the flower or part of that animal within me. I realized the difference at that moment, and yeah, it's been really fruitful.
Yeah, this is huge. It's absolutely that space that I'm in whenever I am performing music. But even now that we are, like, I see them as performances, these podcast talks. Um, ah, truly being in that place, you know, in my, like, really in my body, actually have difficulty to connect to my body, but in this way, I feel like a master in it. I mean, in a humble way, like I feel like I found the really direct pathways to this space, to myself, which I don't activate on a moment to moment, which I think is what we want to feel, all of us. But that I find whenever it's a time, a sacred time, I guess. And I think I know what you mean, and I can almost describe it as like, you know, like kind of like a rocket going inside energetically. And it's like a sense of, I feel the iron in my blood, you know. It's like I feel like I feel it, whatever it is. And maybe that is the it's like this, like it's like, I guess, when we think of indigenous people, how it's like almost natural for them to celebrate Earth. Very often they have it in like most actions of their day, also in sacred rituals, but very often it feels like the whole life is sacred. And I've lost my thought, my line of thought, but I think I wanted to say that there's something with, like, yeah, with this topic of celebrating Earth. Do you feel this only with the bhuta, or?
No, not only that. Maybe that was that was when I discovered it. Like that was when I embodied it, really, the first time. And now I can also see how I tap into it in other ways these days too. Well, thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah, I just feel like yeah, I'm just like in that energy right now. And it's like all we need almost. And I didn't really lose my line of thoughts, but suddenly words just vanished. I don't know. I suddenly got taken over by Earth. I feel packed in a really good way. This is such a special energy to be in. It's totally like you know, it's holding me, like it's holding you. And I wonder how we can, or how do you connect to this in like the little moments, like the I notice how I manage more now to, whenever I get lost in a strange energetic place, how I get out of it. How does that happen? Because I feel like when this happens, it's a form of awareness, which is a form of celebration. And that's what I wanted to say, is that we don't need to celebrate Earth. That's what I was trying to share with the indigenous people, is that we already are. It's just by, I think when we just recognize that we are alive, that's all. We recognize we are alive. It's really a way to connect with that idea that is core to heart medicine, that when I nurture the earth, I nurture myself. And the times where I nurture myself, I nurture the earth, is like it's not separated at all. And I don't know if I want to develop that because I want people to kind of understand it in their own way and relate to their own memories and images that can come.
Point of view is to take that to gardens and gardening. And like creating this intimate relationship with the garden. It's not that it would be anyone's garden, but it would be my garden. And the more I spend time there, the more I connect with it, the more I change like my biome, myself, my cells that you are a part of my body with the garden. When they become part of the cells of the garden, the better understanding the garden gets of me. And I'm talking about the soil and the plants and the minerals and everything. So better suited it is for my well-being to match that of mine. Like, do you see what I mean?
I was gonna ask. This is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
You mean how did you say it?
like creating this really intimate relationship with my garden.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the physical garden now.
Yeah,
like it's not something that I have experimented extensively with yet, but it's something I think of it as an hypothesis. I've read some pretty interesting accounts of something of sort, and to my understanding of the mechanics of the world, or the current understanding, it makes sense. It really makes sense. Like, for example, just like using my own pee, my own like liquid, to water the garden or nourish the garden. Through which the plants would get the information of my balances, my microbiome.
This is too advanced for our society. It feels like very advanced, and of course also really like primitive, but in a really good way, you know, like the ancient technologies. The basic technology of our earth is such like amazing engineer.
Mhm.
And somehow, yeah, along the way we forgot that
Yeah.
how things work. Wow, this is really creating that really deep bond of intimacy with everything, I guess.
Mhm.
But especially with a garden, if you can have a garden and really create that bond, it's your whole medicine there. It's such a coupling. It's a coupling with the land you live in and the land in your guts, in your heart,
Mhm.
in your whole body, and um,
Yeah, and quite literally as well. And this is, of course, already scientifically proven that like it does really good for human microbiome to have a garden, to put your hands in soil and work with soil, and it heals your gut, and it's
really,
yeah, it's like we are supposed to have a certain amount of this kind of like rich bacteria, and because our modern day life is so sanitized in a way, we use our houses are so clean, and we rarely people get into direct contact with the microbiome of the earth, and yeah, and that's used in some cosmetics these days already. They have this added like forest biome basically.
I think someone told me that Earth is like people even eat soil sometimes. It's like, which doesn't seem strange to me. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but it is strange. Like, in the common thought. Um, that's amazing. That is also resonating with this weekend. I will do a little performance, and I wanted to use soil and get people to touch soil, and it's amazing how connected it is. There is something with soil at the moment. I hear it a lot from a lot of people.
About soil in general.
Yeah, soil. I guess it's the body of Earth.
And maybe there is this push going on with saving the soil, kind of like waking up to the alarming state of it. How it's disappearing, and especially how it's getting more and more mineral poor. And yeah.
Do you know what we can do to prevent that, or to like improve it?
Tell me.
Huh? No, I was asking you. I was asking
It was
you.
Yeah, I'm not completely sure about the actions. No, because it's a really large scale problem, starting from monocropping and such.
Yeah, so the basics are like buying local, if you can have your own garden, and
yeah, well, of course, also like always regenerative farming. So this kind of long-term farming, which really kind of like circulates the soil and the minerals. And there, fortunately, there has been a push also towards starting more regenerative farms.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah,
I'm hearing this more and more.
mm-hmm.
Wow, I love it how we actually went literally into like, how can we actually celebrate our Earth? I think it's actually really needed. There's something I don't like though about ecological topics sometimes, is that it's putting too much guilt and like pressure to do something when we actually need this pressure in a way. It's like already gone really far in what's happening on the ecosystem. But I believe there is, we need to see things in a different perspective to really engage people on a personal and, as you said, intimate level with this. Because I think at the end of the day, it kind of builds a lot of human hatred, which doesn't make sense because humans are on Earth, they are Earth. So it doesn't help. So I feel like that's also why I take this different ecological perspective with the heart medicine, to put things back inside. And I guess back to the beginning, like what we were sharing, really accepting this, like these dark things that pop out, truly accepting them, accepting to leave them. I don't know, say you're doing some, like we all go through this. We have this deep wish to really act for the environment and make a change. But of course, we live in a world that is totally governed by anti-ecological things also. So maybe we're truly accepting that and truly doing the not ecological things until it really becomes, until we come at a point where it really becomes truly unnecessary. I think there is a necessity still we have in like driving cars, everything. We have these necessities. So I think it's very important first to have this awareness, but also accepting we are doing the bad things until we really integrate. I really liked that you talked about intimacy because it's really what it's about, until we really integrate our intimacy with the natural world, which we are. We are the natural world. We are not part of the natural world. We are the natural world. Yeah. I guess, yeah, this is connected with rewilding.
Yeah. And I really do think that it starts with intimacy with the world, with the nature, with ourselves, with our human communities, all of it. Just like, yeah, sometimes people ask me what to do. Like I have no idea what to do. What am I supposed to do? Where do I start with with saving the planet, basically? And of course, at that point, it probably comes from this kind of, it's a reaction of fear, of something, a panic of what it is, or of grief, which is quite okay. It happens. I'm more concerned if that doesn't happen. And yeah, and then I sometimes tell these people that go and get to know your neighborhood forest, like create a really intimate relationship with the forest. And it doesn't have to be a big forest, it can be 2 trees, and creating a relationship to those, getting to know the species there. They'll probably, even in a small lot of land, there is like hundreds, if not thousands, of different species. Recognize them. Just like yeah, it can be really practical in a way, or like really like, yeah, it doesn't have to be anything like, I don't know, what would we say, esoteric.
Yeah.
Just that.
And it doesn't even have to be the opposite. It doesn't even have to be scientific. Just like stand in front of the tree and get to know it. Just look at the patterns. Just get to know that species. Maybe you don't want to know the name. That's fine. Just like get to know. I love this. And I was smiling because you totally showed me this indirectly when I came to visit you in Finland once. And, yeah, it was also a very big moment for me, the activation with my connection to nature and really feeling like the forest was talking to me with its own language. And I never was a forest person before that. Since then, I moved by the forest and everything. I cannot live without my forest on a daily basis. And yeah, I really understand this, like understand, like really. I think, yeah, that intimacy is the most beautiful way of celebrating Earth, and intimacy with yourself in all sorts of ways. Just getting to know yourself, because that is also one of the main parts, I think, that I feel like is really important in the ecological dynamic, is to know yourself. So there is this sort of self-sufficiency happening on the mass scale. And reaching a level of intimacy where you can even accept being bad or acting in a shitty way, or like shameful way, or in a angry way, or in a pride way, jealous way. This is all part of us, and yeah, we have enough of toxic new age bullshit. We have enough, and although I think when I say this, it's like I'm talking about anything that is like hyper positive and like oh, it's raised your vibration, and you know, kind of ignoring the true struggles of human experience. I think these things can help on a first step, because it's true that ignoring some things for a while, it really helps changing your energy. But because I am a sort of spiritual person, I also connect with people who are on that level. And sometimes I very quickly disconnect, because there is some kind of a I don't know, I feel like I'm put in a box of being this hippie person because I seem spiritual and open, and I never felt I was hippie person. and that creates conflict a lot, because people are like, oh, but why is she reacting like this when I'm like not so open to anything that can seem a bit too new age. It's not that I'm not open, I just don't connect with it. So I like to acknowledge people to be free with whatever choice they make, but I also like to be in my integrity.
I so much connect with that as well. I now realize that I've never kind of identified as a hippie person either. it's something, I don't know how much people put those labels on themselves ever, though. But yeah, it's
nice. I really love that we uncovered that about intimacy being a real key towards like happiness. Happiness on many levels, like happiness. Yeah. Acceptance, with acceptance. And I feel like acceptance is a really, really amazing tool right now. Acceptance doesn't mean excusing things, but it means acknowledging and celebrating life. Yeah, in a way, like, just doesn't mean in like a big party way, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe I would use the word own. Like maybe that's more relevant currently to me. It's like owning those feelings, owning the experiences.
Ah, that's interesting. Acceptance can lead to owning. Yeah. Because when you reject, in a way, you don't own anything. You are controlled by what bothers you.
Owning, I feel anxious about this and this thing now, or I feel anxious. Okay, I feel anxious. I own it. It's my feeling. I understand it. It happens, and I can own it. I can see where it was coming from, maybe, and then I can go to that and maybe change it if I don't want to be having that feeling.
Yeah, and coming back to that, yeah, I guess that's the deepest intimacy. Coming back to the, I don't know how to call it, the feeling you talked about when you're doing bhuta. How can we call this? What is it?
For me, what I would say here quickly is that it's embodied interconnectedness.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is really a topic I see a lot in your work and in the projects you do.
Yeah.
Embodied interconnectedness is the deepest intimacy.
Yes.
To our earth. Something like this.
Oh my, yes. That's so good. That's so on point. So on point.
Embodied, I just really want to name it. Embodied interconnectedness is our deepest intimacy, is the deepest intimacy to our earth. That is a mantra. Really nice. Yeah, that was quite a deep talk. Do you feel like you have anything else to share for this one?
Yeah, previously there was one point that came to my mind. It's about this celebrating aspect and a bit to the new age as well.
Yeah.
And also in like this was something interesting that I've been thinking about lately, that we have these practices, we have these teachings that we are supposed to celebrate in this and this and this way. And then you're supposed to, whatever, have an altar where there are these and these things, and to do all these things in a certain way, or spend quite a lot of your time and energy and commitment to keeping them that way, like doing this kind of like certain formula, basically. And I do see the value of that. I do see the value of tradition, and that there are so much more than one could even understand during one lifetime why it is so, like, and those like deeper layers. But then there has been this very interesting kind of like point of view to it, that the best thing one can do is to fully embody themselves, is to fully embody the present moment, actually, to be in the present. And if one can master that, like all of those kind of like external things lose their meaning next to it. I'm trying to, maybe I'll explain it in a bit different way. Like that like the most celebrative act that I could do during my life here is, and this is something that everyone around me, the earth, the spirits, the other species, would celebrate me doing it, me embodying the present moment, me being in the present moment. And that's also something that it's almost like this kind of like cliche, because it's written in all of those ancient traditions. It's the guideline in everywhere, and it's kind of like you can also see some, like, you know, written on the wall and everything. It seems like okay, really, but then I do want to have all of this stuff. I do want to do all of this other stuff. But yeah, what I do see that, or I feel that is something that I'm most interested in investing my time to, like, to being in the present moment.
Yeah.
And seeing that as the biggest celebration that I can do as well.
Honestly, I think we don't hear it enough. We hear it a lot, but it will never be enough. Yeah. And I think every time we talk about it, being present, it's a new experience, because every time we have got closer to what it means, and it's totally different story to another time when you've heard that, like, being present is the ultimate, truth, is the ultimate celebration, it's the ultimate thing of being alive. And what I feel I can share with that is also something we hear all the time, but I'm really starting to grasp it. Is we think it's like we have to put so much effort to be present, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I have to remind myself to be present. I have to be present, meditations and retreats and whatever. And I'm really starting to understand that actually comes from a point of effortlessness. It's completely.
Mm-hmm.
You are mostly present when it's putting the least effort.
Yeah. And it's always available. Every moment.
Yeah. And that comes back to this bhuta energy, or when I said that I knew what you mean when I'm performing, I mean that energy, and it is completely effortless. I put a lot of action in it, but it's not like I'm like trying hard. It's like,
Yeah.
it's happening. It's a happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can celebrate by learning how to be present.
And deepen our intimacy.
Yep.
In all areas of this living experience. While having fun and just like taking everything lightly as well. This is really like the presence of children. That's what we also hear a lot. Children are the best masters in presence because they are full of like fun energy and playing and lightness.
Yeah.
Sometimes not. Sometimes it's heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what we've just been saying all along on this talk. It's part of life, you know? And yeah. Really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think that's good for this one. It's a lot of food for thought, maybe leading to another one, leading to something else. Yeah, it's really, really lovely. Thank you for opening your heart.
Thank you for keeping this space.
Yeah. Whew. Wow, presence. So I'm going to close off the podcast. Thank you all for joining us today. If you want to know more about the heart medicine or find our links, I will put them in the description. And that is it. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.